Hey, everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ. Welcome to Before the Pour. You know, we do this every time before the Black Wine Guy Experience. My guest today is celebrated NYC Som Marquita Levy. Marquita was featured in a New York Times article written by Eric Asimov that was all highlighting black wine professionals. She was also one of the consulting sommeliers for Wine and Spirits October issue on Rising Black Stars. Marquita discovered her passion for wine while waiting tables to support her dance career. She received her Vitification and Viticulture certificate and pin in 2004 from the American Sommelier Association, but wine became her main focus when she retired from dance in 2002. She has worked at many restaurants, including Indochine, Aldila, Jean Georges, Colicchio and Sons, Lure, Fish Bar, Bowery Meat Company, and Waverly Inn. Currently, Marquita is a som at Red Hook Winery in Brooklyn, and she is working with Jeff Porter, the mind behind Sip Trip Italy, on his new wine distribution company, Volcanic Selections. You can peep the bottle on the table. We're going old school. Welcome, Marquita. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would. My last job, and also one of my favorite som jobs, was to be the head som at Chef's Club.
Oh, excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
that was my last job before the shutdown.
Okay, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. So Marquita and I connected through, wait for it, Instagram. I don't know, she came on my radar, and then I just started peeping her feed, and I was like, yo, she's kind of dope. She drinks the dope shit. She's in the dope places. She knows the dope kids. I was like, will you come on my podcast? And she said, yes. And then something happened. We had to reschedule, but here we are. Here we are. So you have such a wide array of talents and passions. But before we even get into all those passions, I am going to warm us up.
Okay.
A bit. I'm going to ask you 20 questions. Some of them are personal, and then the last 10 are from James Lipton from inside the Actors Studio.
I'm ready.
So I know you're ready because you used to be a dancer, and you were like, I want to be on that show one day. So, you ready? Just whatever comes to your mind, spitballing. It's like come off the dome. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is your favorite book?
Anne of Green Gables. Yes.
Wow.
I was going to say American Gods, but I had to go to the original book, which is Anne of Green Gables.
Wow. I am impressed. Shit. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Auntie Mame.
Oh, wow.
Close tie with Gigi. Close tie with Conan the Barbarian.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's all over the place. That's so dope. Who is your favorite musical artist?
Oh my gosh, Stevie Wonder.
Boogie on reggae woman.
All I do.
Don't you
is
worry
think
about.
We're
gonna have a medley. All right. What is your favorite food to eat? Death Row. What are you having?
Potato chips.
Any particular flavor?
Truffle potato chips.
Oh, see, you fancy. You should have been like Wise barbecue,
Actually,
25 cents.
it's
Go in the store with a
Lay's.
quart of water and some chips.
I'm going to say I would like some Lay's, please, with French onion dip, with ranch dip, and with hot sauce.
Now you're talking. That's what I'm talking about.
And I don't feel bad about the fact that I killed that wine splainer with my wine key. I didn't mean it. Yes, I did.
She killed the
Sorry.
wine splainer. That's how she went to jail. I love it. Okay, who's your favorite athlete?
My favorite athlete, Usain Bolt.
Good one. Growing up, favorite cartoon as a child?
Tom and Jerry.
Ah, that's a good one. A good one. While you're watching Tom and Jerry, what was your favorite cereal?
Fruit Loops.
Toucan Sam. Yeah, Toucan Sam. Who would you most like to have a bottle of wine with?
Barry.
Barry White or Barry?
Michelle's
Oh.
Barry.
I was like, I heard dum 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 dum. Okay. Can't go wrong with Barry. Okay, now I will talk like this for 30 seconds as we go into the inside the actor studio questions.
All right.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Batonnage.
That's a wine word, right?
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means the stirring of the lees. It also means it is code for you're going to get the beat down.
So I was gonna say, I was like bathing. I was like, see, I'm about to stir some shit up. What is your least favorite word?
Eggplant.
I mean, eggplant is a word, but it's also a vegetable. So I was like,
Statistics.
Okay. All right.
I'm nauseous.
What is your least favorite word?
Statistics.
Boom. What turns you on?
Books.
Very nice. What turns you off?
Narcissists.
What sound or noise do you love?
Corks popping.
Follow-up question. What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of glasses breaking.
Yeah. That's a sound.
All wine related. It's all wine related.
Someone, it was either Jordan or I think it was Jordan South. Just said Zalto glass hitting the floor, right? So you just had to just like.
No, actually, that little snap when you're polishing
that's the
and you
word.
hear
Yeah.
that
Yep.
and you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh man.
So when that happens, what is your favorite curse word?
What the actual feldspar, which is the F-bomb that is, can I say it?
Yeah, shit.
Fuck. Motherfucker.
Yes, please. That's why we have people sign waivers. What?
I asked Paul De Lancelotti what his favorite wine curse was, and he said motherfucker. And I was like, wine curse, Balgabita, Batonnage, Schist, Falangina.
Yeah, you do use schist a lot. Falangina is a good one too. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Writer.
What profession would you not like to do?
Bookkeeper.
I love it because it's not even a CPA. It's like it's a bookkeeper. Like you're a broke ass CPA. You just keep the books.
Absolutely not. I don't want to count shit.
I just want to see and count all my money. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I got all the 2015 Barolos lined up and ready.
That was fun. If you want more of Marquita, and I know you do, make sure you tune into our episode of the Black Wine Guy Experience, everybody. Peace.
I forgive you for that incident in 1999, the one in 2018, the one in 2002. Oh, that one time in 1986. Oh. All of 1993.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ. Welcome to the Black Wine Guy Experience. My guest today is celebrated New York Somm, Marquita Levy. Marquita was featured in a New York Times article written by Eric Asimov that was a spot on or feature on Black wine professionals. She was also one of the consulting sommeliers for Wine and Spirits October issue on rising Black stars in the world of wine. Marquita discovered her passion for wine while waiting tables to support her dance career. Wine became her main focus upon retiring from dance in 2002. She went on to receive her Vinification and Viticulture certificate and pin in 2004 from the American Sommelier Association. She has worked at many restaurants, including Indochine, Al de la, Jean-Georges, Colicchio Sons, Lure Fish Bar, Bowery Meat Company, and Waverly Inn. Currently, she is a somm at Red Hook Winery in Brooklyn, and she is working with Jeff Porter, who is the mind behind Sip Trip Italy, on his new wine distribution company, Volcanic Selections. Welcome, Marquita. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just a shout out to my Chef's Club family. I love you all so much. And congratulations to Ashley on your marriage. And shout out to Jano and JR. And Mom, I promise I'm not going to use too many curses.
It's my fault, Mrs. Mom. It'll be my fault.
One more shout out to the Scorpio with whom life does not exist.
Okay. Wow. So Marquita and I connected through, wait for it, Instagram. People come across your radar and started following her account, and just great feed. And I was like, wow, she got a lot of dope stuff going on. She hangs with dope people and drinks dope wine and does dope shit. Like, I was like, her life's kind of dope. It would be dope if I had her on the podcast. So here we are. So tell us what wine you brought and what we're drinking this evening.
We are drinking the I Fabbri Chianti Classico 2018 from winemaker Susanna Grazzi, and it is actually in fiasco. So even though it's bottled in 750, Jeff asked her to bottle it in this very traditional fiasco of Trattoria fame, of candles after the bottle gets emptied, and also of Bowfinger fame.
So it's for you guys, at some point I'm going to get all these videos up on YouTube, but in the clip you'll see, for those who are listening, if you don't catch a clip on Instagram, it's that old school. If there's an Italian movie, it's the bottle, Lady and the Tramp, that has like the basket around it, and thank you for reminding me. And this was actually called a fiasco, this type of bottle, which just took me back to the old Bonnie Doon El Fiasco Sangiovese. You guys know I love Calitales, but I do. But super fun, and it's just old school Chianti Classico. This is delicious alone, but obviously it would go great with charcuterie or any Italian meal. Or a burger. I mean, come on, it's Chianti. So, oh my God, we got to get going because we have so little time, and you have such a wide array of talents and passions. But I want to start at the beginning. You were born in Chicago and raised in Evanston, Illinois. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
What? Okay, so I've been to Chicago, and is there a university? What's in Evanston?
Northwestern.
Northwestern. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what was it like growing up in like that college town, that Chicago metro area?
Actually, Evanston is kind of what the American dream is based on. There's only one high school in the city, and so everyone goes there. So I went to one of the largest high schools. It's actually the largest high school campus in the United States. We have a planetarium. We have 14 gyms.
Sounds like a John Hughes movie.
And half my class actually were in all of those movies. The house that from 16 Candles is my late sister's best friend's house. So it's just crazy. And of course, John Cusack is 1 year ahead of me.
Wait, he went to your high school?
Yeah, I went to.
Shut the front door.
They were
Shut the fuck up.
Joan was a senior when I was a freshman. Jeremy Piven was there.
Oh my God! So this is crazy because like now this might not even be about wine. This might be about 80s movies and music, guys. Because
Depeche Mode.
But that's crazy. I was just like spitballing and threw that out there, and I was like, it sounds like a John Hughes movie, and it turns out like it is exactly like a John Hughes movie. And you know what's crazy? When I worked, it's not because he's passed, unfortunately. John Hughes, rest in peace. He was a client. My buddy used to wait on him at Acker. And he was a super nice guy, and he just like my buddy Cliff. Cliff getting mad shout outs on a lot of podcasts, but Cliff is just like the regular guy, like he likes hockey. So John Hughes was like he didn't talk about bricks and acidity. He's like, this is a good wine, So wow, oh my God.
Evanston Township High School is literally like the best thing that I enjoyed. I enjoyed high school.
Wow.
All 4 years. I still have a very close-knit group of friends from high school. There's like Philippe Andre actually went to high school, went to ETHS.
What?
Chastity Cooper went to ETHS. So, we're just churning out Somms.
Damn. Somms and movie stars.
And it's what it's what public education is supposed to be, where you can go and get literally the best education possible.
But stuff that makes sense just is hard to get across to people, like vaccinations, like putting the mask over your nose. I don't know, but no, I agree because I worked in public education and I see where I went to high school, kind of like in the suburbs, like you, versus kids I work with in the inner city in Newark, and it was just night and day. But I digress. We're gonna get back to growing up. So I believe you're I always Panamanian.
Yes.
Okay. How do you say that?
Panamania.
Okay. Yeah. So what kind of food were you exposed to growing up?
Well, my mother is African American. After they got married, they went on their honeymoon.
Cornbread, collard greens,
all of it.
Standard black mama food.
But she went over the summer. They went to Panama, and she met the family. But also, she went there to learn how to cook for her husband. Oh. And so my mother makes the best sancocho. She makes the best fish eye soup. She actually makes the best Jamaican patties. In the suburbs of Evanston. Even though she is not Jamaican, her patties were killer. Greens, Brussels sprouts, macaroni and cheese, fried chicken, where she actually gets a whole chicken and butchers it, and with the bag.
Oh yeah, you gotta have brown paper bag. Put your seasoned flour in there, and you shake it up.
Barbecued ribs, just really. My mom is a fantastic cook. She's a fantastic cook.
You're making me hungry.
Like Thanksgiving, amazing.
So, I can see, we'll get to this down the line, but I can see why you have a love of food for sure. So, I read somewhere that you went to where fun goes to die for your degree. So for you, I don't know. Actually, so I read you got your BA in political science from the University of Chicago. The University of Chicago is known as where fun goes to die, which I can't believe because you went there. But BA in political science, law school?
That was the original plan. The original plan was I was going to change the world. I was going to revolutionize education reform. And so I was actually going to go to law school because a lot of the problems with legislation is legal. And then I was going to also get a PhD in history, and I was going to introduce humanities to the entire United States as part of their curriculum, and dancing.
Okay, so I was going to say, so then how did dance come into the picture? I was like, so how did you went to a party or you saw a house?
My father was so upset. He's like, I don't know, Coño, where'd you get this idea? And I was like, I don't know. When I was 4, you told me I could be the president of the United States. You put me in the dance class. You put me in front of a piano. You put me in the soccer. You took me to the library. You took me to the museums. You took me here. You told me I could do whatever I wanted to do. And now I'm doing whatever I wanted to do. And how are you upset? You told me that failure was part of success and that you had to work hard.
Crickets.
My dad hasn't won an argument with me since 1986, since my freshman year in college. That's what you get for sending me to where fun goes to die.
So did you? Did they have a dance program there, or were you dancing outside the studio? What was it like? Yeah.
Well, they didn't, but they had a dance club, and it was through the the physical education department. They have a dance major there now, but it was run by Jan Eckert, and she was a choreographer in Chicago. And her teaching dance classes at the University of Chicago was the way for her to basically train dancers and teach. But I've been dancing since I was 4 years old.
Okay.
I trained at Gus Giordano in Evanston. I took classes at Studio One with Nancy Newell, who was my tap teacher. So it's something that I love to do. And I actually don't think I would have. I can't be smart without dance. So dance got me through college because basically dance is the hardest thing I've ever done. And if you can dance, you can write a 50-page paper and turn it in 2 weeks late. I mean, that's just how it happens.
Get
an extension on your BA thesis.
I want to unpack that because I do believe you can transfer. So what was it about dance that gave you confidence? Like you said, like if I could do that, what was so challenging for you about dance, even though you love it, that you've been able to translate it to other areas of your life?
The amount of discipline and work and acute attention to detail that it takes to execute movement in a sequence that requires such a high level of expertise to do a very simple thing. Like, for instance, you can't play the piano unless you learn scales, unless you learn how to play both hands, and then you continue and progress. You can't just be good at dance. You can be talented and charismatic dancer, but if you want to be a good dancer, you must train.
Got it. So it's the practice, it's the training, yes. It's the discipline focus. Got it.
It's not fun. Like, especially when I was waiting tables and people asked me what I did, and they were just like, "Oh, dancing sounds like so much fun." I was like, "There's nothing fun about it. You rehearse for 7 hours, you don't get paid, you jump up and down for 7 hours for free, and then you jump on the chain, and then you work a 10-hour shift late, and then you do this 4 days in a row, and then you perform once or twice a year, and you're on stage for 4 minutes, and then you continue to do it. And you're in rehearsal, and so the life is about the practice as opposed to the performance.
Yep.
Except being a som for me is the same as being in class where you warm up, you do isolations, you learn the combination. The first couple of times you do the combination, you kind of make a few mistakes. First time I sell a bottle, I'm just like, one of the reasons that I love the Chablis is because it's from France. And I was like, I'm gonna do better next time. It's like by 7:30, I've gotten it. I've gotten it down. But first couple bottles, I'm just like, I think that Barolo is made out of it's just one grape, and that grape is
Italian.
It's not Barbera.
It's Italian in nature.
Nebbiolo. Oh my gosh, it's Nebbiolo. And I'm just like, how do you? But it's kind of when you're doing a turn and you kind of mess up the combo.
Right.
But you keep going.
Right, because most people don't know. Like you screwed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're off, right? But, like, most people don't know when it comes to stuff like that. Like, when I was selling wine, I'm like, oh, man, that was completely wrong.
But one thing that I learned actually at my first job when I was training to talk about food. Actually, training to be a runner is why I'm able to talk about wine, because you had to present the dishes, and then you had to talk, and you had to develop the story and make it enticing and lovely so they fall in love with the language and the story. And then you just apply that to wine, and you kind of use the hypnotizing, like, late night radio voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just like in swoons about the Sagrantino or whatever you're talking about, because they're just like, oh, I want to drink that. It's so easy.
Let's talk about the restaurants. Like you said, so you're working in restaurants to support your dance career.
Yes.
What was some of your first jobs in the restaurant industry?
Oh my gosh, my first job, I was a hostess, of course, but I worked for the Let Us Entertain You group, and so I was a busser for about 3 months because I had zero experience. I love polishing silver and folding napkins to this day.
Really? Like it's a Zen thing?
Yes. If you put 50 napkins in front of me, I'm going to be so happy. I will fold them all, corners, beautiful, stack of 50. Boom, boom, boom.
I love it.
Like when we're slammed and I'm a manager on the floor, we need napkins. I'm in the corner. I'm like, bloop, 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 bloop. Calm. So something in a coffee cup. I'm great.
Something in a coffee cup. So how long did you work with that group?
I worked with them for 4 years.
Oh, wow. And now this was still in Chicago, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then what was your next gig?
My next gig after that was actually a restaurant in Chicago that was similar to Match in New York. Okay. And it was called Vinyl. There was a lounge with a DJ upstairs, and then there was the restaurant, and we were so cool and edgy. And then I moved to New York and found out how kind of country Midwestern we were. We were trying.
As a cultural thing, I find that interesting because, if you look, Chicago is dope, though. My grandmother grew up there, but America's Black President came from there. Common came from there. I hate to say Kanye's from there. It's some pretty creative people have come out of Chicago. And though I do remember even being a kid growing up with like you're from New York, it still is, because I spent a lot of time in Gary, Indiana. Still is the Midwest. So, we're going to digress as you talk, just because you brought up the difference between Chicago and New York. What's the deal with that casserole y'all call pizza?
Oh, that delicious Malnati's / Gus Giordano's pizza, which I'm going to have in 5 weeks. Can't wait. It's just delicious. All that cheesy, all that beautiful sausage with the fennel, all the tomato sauce layered like this. All you need is one piece.
Yeah.
Do you know how many vodka cranberries you can have after one of those pieces?
I do not.
10.
Probably, because it's a casserole. It's not a pizza.
So you have one of those, and you go to the club, and you can literally have a billion margaritas and hold it down. So your little Napolitano, skinny little New York pizza,
See,
you need 3 slices.
We do it the other way. We have places open at 3 a.m. when you come out the club, and you just need something to start soaking up the grease.
No. That's the breakfast spot on Clark Street. That's the breakfast spot. That's when you have a farmer's breakfast, and then that soaks up the other drinks that you had. No. Because, you're going to do shots of Jägermeister around 3:30, right before they close, right before the after party.
This is a different episode, huh, guys? All right, so you're at what was the name of the place again? Remind me.
Vinyl,
right?
Yes.
Which is like Match here. Okay, so what was your position at Vinyl?
I was a waiter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. First time ever waiting?
No.
Well, no, because you probably worked through the
yeah.
other group,
So by this time, I'd been at a couple different restaurants, and this was a much more casual. Well, actually, they were doing that kind of cool vibe that you see in restaurants now, where it was like an international menu, but they had a burger, they had like a steak frite, and they had like mussels and whole fish, and buffalo wings, and then also a really nice wine list.
Okay.
Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot will never go away. It's just that orange label will always be here.
Yeah, I can't.
Don't sleep on Veuve.
I don't sleep on the clicker. I mean, it's like this. It's like this.
It was paying my bills at Indochine when I was doing the list.
It's like this, right? It's like there's nothing wrong with a really well-made product that is produced in volume, right? Like,
absolutely.
So that's what and I tell people on one level it is like the Budweiser of champagne, but I remember meeting a brewmeister like in the early '90s before the whole microbrewery thing, and he's like you need to understand how good that beer, how much they make of that, and to have the quality control. So think about that in champagne, and I give Veuve some shit, but when you think about that in champagne, and I know a lot of somms just listen to other podcasts. Are going back to the bigger houses because you can't. I mean, it's Dom Perignon, it's freaking Bollinger, it's freaking Cristal. They're still producing wonderful champagne. So I'm not mad. I'm not above. And it's the easiest bottle to buy for people because they think it's way bad. I mean, not that it's bad, but like people think, oh my god, they see the orange label, it's iconic. The branding
rosé is fantastic.
The branding, the rosé is fantastic. I remember when it first came out. I remember when Le Grand Dame rosé first came out. That came out in '97 when I first started in the wine business. It was the first vintage. It's been like '96. Oh, so good. It was paying the bill. So is that where wine came in at Vinyl? Is that when you started?
No, it actually came in at my absolute first job because I was a busser for a couple months, and then they bumped me up because this was a fancy Italian restaurant bistro with an Award of Excellence wine list. So then I was a food runner, which I absolutely loved. I love talking about food. I love describing food at table. And also you learn how to carry the plates, and you have one here, and you have the thumb like this, but not on the plate. And then you do the thing with the service, open body, it's a whole choreography.
I'm definitely gonna have to put the video for this one up, because as a dancer, she is in the movement, and I love all the. I mean, it's just like
you basically mesmerize your table with how you move. That's how I used to pour wine. You do it in a certain way that makes the pour look very lovely, so they can't wait to drink it, and thus finish it and also order another bottle because I'm trying to stack this paper.
For all you young somms out there,
wad paper.
There's a gem right there. You gotta mesmerize
Trying
them.
to get the numbers up. But so when it was time to train to be a waiter, they're like mandatory wine training. They're just like, what kind of wine are you drinking right now? And I was like, well, I drink a lot of vodka cranberries. I'm drinking Zimas, and I'm drinking Bailey's on the rocks. They're like, stop talking. And I was like, Sutter, can I talk about the whites? They're like, shh, quiet. They're like 2:00 on Tuesday, and I'm like, in the afternoon, during rehearsal, I'm gonna have to miss. Show up, the whole table is set up. There is a map of Italy, 2 glasses, meats, charcuterie, cheeses, grissini, breadsticks, olive oil, olives, cornichon, focaccia, and spit buckets. I'm like, what them for? I'm like, spitting? I have the day off. I don't know what you guys doing. 10 wines. We started with Prosecco, and I was done with Prosecco. Jesus came and got me at the table with Prosecco. And then we tried a Pinot Grigio, and I was like, this is good too.
You're like, and now Gabriel just showed up.
And then we had a Chianti, and it was Chianti Rufina. Delicious. And then the last wine, Massi Amarone, 1985.
Wow.
And the angels came down. I heard all of the house music. I heard Promised Land by Joe Smooth. It's Waiting on My... I heard Jamie Principle. I heard it all. And I was like, this is my life. And so it was... Let Us Entertain You was corporate, and so I had my evaluation before I became a front waiter. And then they trained me to be a waiter, and they trained me, even though our manager was the sommelier, they trained us to, it was called the Hot 20. 5 low, 5 medium, 5 high, and then, well, I call it the Hot 20, but it was basically 5 low, 5 medium, 5 high. You must be able to sell those. I turned into a Hot 20 when I came to New York, and those 5 bottles of dream bottles, like the Sylvain Cotillard, like the Soldera, like the things that you're like, who's going to buy a bottle of Krug 1989? Oh, somebody just bought the bottle of Krug 1989. I get to taste it. What? And so they had us study it, but I had not tasted any of these wines. I just tasted the wines that we had at the training, and then occasionally we would have a bottle during the staff meeting. And then they pulled me aside for my monthly evaluation. They were like, "You are our top seller of Masi Amarone," and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I love it. It's the only." And so they were just like, "Here, Marquita, taste this. Here, Marquita, taste this. Our French restaurant is doing staff training. You go to that training. Our Spanish restaurant is doing wine training. You go." So I was basically like a pen pal piggyback on other restaurants. And Prieuré Lichine is the Margaux, is the Bordeaux that put me into France. The first time I had that, Cabernet Sauvignon came in, did what it do. It was, I was like, and at that point I was like, why did I go to college? Why did I go? And why do I still owe them so much money when I could have just been folding napkins and slinging this wine and bringing steaks and carving fishes?
Yeah. You know what? It's a perfect time to take a quick break. I'm going to pause. We're going to come back. That was amazing. So we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. First of all, there was so much there, but I do, sometimes you get hooked. You ever let a thought hook you? So I heard everything you said, but the thought that hooked me when you said, "What are you drinking?" You said Zima. Hold on.
So
Zima
delicious.
was ahead of its time. What the fuck is White Claw and all this shit? Zima was ahead of its
White
time.
Claw my ass.
Zima was ahead of its time.
I was like, I did White Claw in 1987.
Yeah, it was called Zima.
It was delicious.
I was like, holy shit. And
that's another thing. You could drink like 10 of them. It was amazing.
Yeah. All right. So I said,
how's your opinion of University of Chicago? How am I doing?
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, let me tell you something about my junior year.
I'm sure hanging out, it was live where you were hanging out. You probably had all them nerds like, no, it still wasn't live?
It was live. Actually, I became a house head at University of Chicago, and it's why I applied there early.
Wow. Why was Professor Marshall Jefferson teaching a course there?
I had William Julius Wilson my freshman year. Oh my God, I got my ass handed to me. I got ghosted by my high school AP fancy public education. She left me. She's like, this is a breakup. She wrote it on a Post-it, and she was like, I'm out. Good luck, in the Taken voice. Like when I heard that in the movie, I was just like, I heard that in 1985 when I was taking a chemistry exam, trying to get into a chemistry class, and I had to walk out after 20 minutes because it was so hard. But so freshman year, junior year in high school, I wanted to go to Brown. Brown was actually my first choice. I wanted to go to Vanderbilt. I wanted to go to Stanford. My safety school was Oberlin, McAllister,
your safety school,
Bryn Mawr.
Your safety's Oberlin and Bryn Mawr.
Man, and of course, colleges were coming. I was getting mail. And so I went to a college fair, and my father wanted me to go to Northwestern. My father went to Northwestern, so I was just like, you mean that school that's right over there?
He's like, yeah, you can stay in your room.
I didn't swear. I didn't even swear in high school. I was like, absolutely the fuck not. So we go to this college fair, and the admissions officer, she was so cool. She was actually an African American woman, which was a surprise because there were no black women in that room, except for my mom. So she was talking to me, and she's like, "Why don't you come and visit?" And my mom, who's so sneaky, she's like, "You can practice for your Brown interview." And I was like, "Oh, my mom's looking out for me," because she knew as soon as we went on the Midway, and I saw Rockefeller, and I saw the campus. And when you go for your interview, they take you on a tour first. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and Stevie Wonder. They took us to Harper Library, and the angels came and got me with all those books. I was like, they have every edition of Anne of Green Gables up in chair. And so when I went down for my interview, I already wanted to go. And so they were just like, blah, 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 you should come visit campus. And they have a very good brother-sister program because, of course, the African-American population was 4%. Woohoo!
I think it's up to 4.5 now.
From going to a high school that had 33% black students.
Okay.
So I went for the weekend, and I stayed on the 11th floor in the Shoreland, which was the coolest dorm. It was right across from the lake, right across from the point. Beautiful. It was an old hotel, and now it's like a fancy condo building. And I was paired with Cynthia, who was like this. She was a sophomore, and she was like a sociology major, and like 5 black students lived on that floor. And one of them, who would later be the love of my life and my boyfriend very briefly, was the DJ for the house parties.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, wow. Okay.
So they're like, we're having a party on the floor. And I was like, what are they going to do at this little geeky piece of shit school? Please. And so that's when I heard, I was just like, I heard Mystery of Love. I heard all the good, no, actually that was 1987 when that came out. I heard Waiting on My Angel. I heard Marshall Jefferson. I heard all the good stuff. And I was like, I need to go to this school.
So
I applied to one college. I applied early.
Well, your dad went to Northwestern.
And if I didn't get in,
you're probably safe. If your dad goes to Northwestern, you're probably safe to apply. And, if your safety's Oberlin, you were probably good to go. And, it's just a numbers game.
Well, my parents
statistics
were very
would say,
strict.
Yeah.
They're like, you can date when you're 16 years old. And I'm like, December birthday. I was like, I'm going to be a senior. You just ruined it.
So was that when, because I know we talked before I met you at a wine tasting before, which is, I don't really often meet my guests before if I don't know them. You're big into curating playlists with wine.
Yes.
So is that where the love of music really I mean, obviously growing up, but like.
It did, actually. I do have kind of a history with DJs. Like literally, when I turned 40, I was just like, Jesus, I have a new set of requirements for the dream. And I was like, none of these, no more chefs, unless he's from Portugal. Winemakers, yes. No DJs. Okay, except maybe one. Also, if he's from Portugal.
You gave me a joke. I was like, it's like, and before the pour, you guys might have heard, I asked people, like, what, if heaven exists, what do you want God say when you're at the pearly gates? You should be like, I got a DJ, a winemaker, and a chef back there for you, and they're all from Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I digress. What brought you to New York?
Bill T. Jones.
Okay.
I was in a good place in Chicago. I was dancing I was dancing with Winifred Honan dancers. I was teaching for Joseph Holmes Chicago Dance Theater. I managed their Chance to Dance program. Shout out to Bernard Gilmore, who was one of my students. He went to Curie High School, and he's been a member of Alvin Ailey for 22 years.
Well, my cousin and his wife, who just retired this year.
And who's actually choreographing something right now.
Revelations.
Oh, my gosh. And he did the Donny Hathaway
he did that one?
Solo, I think 2 years ago.
I saw that.
Mind blowing.
So you came here to dance, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill they were performing here. We Are Here. I think that's the name of the piece. And he was doing a choreography workshop. And and I admired Bill. I'd been in Uncle Tom's Cabin when I was in Chicago. I was part of the Chicago cast. I admired him. Took his choreography workshop because I love to choreograph. And oh my gosh, it was the worst and hardest week. I basically cried because he was so hard. We were choreographing, and I was cheating. He's like, create a phrase using so and so and so and so, and he could tell just by my movement that this was movement that I had previously created. And he's like, no. He's like, chalk that. I want to see something new. And I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, motherfucker, get that fucking guy. I came back out, and I was like, oh, you want me to create something new? Blah, blah, blah. At the end of it, I actually brought Bernard, who was a freshman in college. And so it was the last day. He was teaching Odile some movement phrases. He was teaching Bernard. And he actually asked Bernard, he's just like, I'm having auditions for my company. You should come. And he was trying to convince him because he's like, I'm going to do the scholarship program at Alvin Ailey. And he's like, you should come take class with me. And he's like, tell me about your training. And he's like, there's my teacher right over there. And so he's like, Marquita, how was your week? And I was like, and I started crying. I was like, it's really hard. And he's just like, well, I don't need any woman dancers. I can't pay you. Rehearsal starts August 29th.
Wow. So.
And I moved here.
Did you immediately get a restaurant job when you came here to support that dance career move?
We can talk about the 2 weeks where I trained at Bowery Bar, and I did not make the cut.
Okay. Well, you didn't make. So why don't we talk about? Let's talk. What was the first restaurant gig you got in New York? Let's shape this in the positive.
It's such a good story. Well, that's part of the story.
Okay, so tell the story.
I went through the whole training.
So Bowery Bar,
the crappy outfit.
Hold on, who was running that at that time?
I want to say Jane.
Okay.
Little did I know that Jeff Harding, who is now a dear friend of mine, was bartending there at the time. Was it Jane?
I'm not sure.
Jane Shu or
that's why I'm
Connie?
Asking. That's why I'm asking you.
Beautiful Asian woman.
Okay.
She was also the manager at Cafe Clooney.
So do they have an infamous 2-week training program? Or?
Well,
because most of our listeners don't, aren't.
Well, it was like the coolest popular people staff.
Okay.
And I was a little bit too Midwestern and not cool enough for them. A little bit too smiling and too much service, and less. I was not cool enough to really kind of hang. And so they were just like, well, we can put you, so you can like pick up shifts if someone needs a day off. And I was like, I have $78, and that is not acceptable. So I was like, okay. And so we had rehearsal at Musical Theater on Lafayette, and so I just applied to every restaurant on the block, which was at that point Time Cafe, Toast, Indochine, and at Indochine, they were just like, well, we're not hiring here, but we're opening a new restaurant called Republic. And so I went to that. And they're like, we're having open call next week. Okay, an open call for Indochine. So I show up in like a nice outfit, and I'm like looking, I was just like, why is everybody so tall? Because everyone was like a model.
Yeah.
And they had headshots, and they took my photo.
Well, when you said open call, I was like,
I did.
That's an entertainment term, right?
I had a resume. I was just like, I ain't gonna get this gig. So they hired me. So I started training at Republic. And it was really cool. Oh my God, everyone was so beautiful. It was just crazy. Like I worked with Lisa Peterson. I worked with Veronica. Oh, everyone was beautiful. But I got a call from Jean-Marc, the owner, and he's just like, Marquita, we are having a private party at Indochine. Can you come and work? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, what's the uniform? He's like, ball gown, sample, stiletto. And I was like, what in the actual? Because it was Mariah Carey's party during Fashion Week. And I met Quincy Jones there that night.
I might have to use that proposed show title now. I might have to do it. That's too coincidental.
And then you might have to. And then when, oh my God, he's so fantastic. When it came time for me to go to Republic, they wouldn't let me go. They're like, nope, Marquita stays at Indochine.
Oh, that's dope. That's a dope story. That was a dope story. You rocked it.
But Indochine also gave me wine because I was folding napkins one night and I was just like, you know what? If we had a really nice Sancerre, we would make a shitload of money. They heard nothing but shitload of money. So I got a call the next day from the owner who's like, you do the wine list. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. He's like, you do the wine list. Nobody wants to do it. And so I started buying wine for this restaurant. And I was just, I didn't know how to do it. So I bought the wine Bible. I read it cover to cover. Also, I just started asking regulars. I was like, what do you want to drink? And because the regulars were like savvy, wanted to drink beautiful bottles. And so they're just like, oh, I love Chamboule Mousse. And I was just like, shush, shush. I was like, what kind of French is that? I never heard this kind of French. And I took it for 2 years of college. And so
2 whole years.
So then the reps would come in and they'd be like, okay, really? And I was just like, do you have a Chateauneuf de Pape? And they were like, oh, okay. And that was the difference. It wasn't like I was a trainee. I was the buyer. And I was just like, I want champagne. I want Chateauneuf de Pape. Do you have Chateau Leneuf? And they were like, oh, okay. She's playing. And also, I knew the words. I was like, do you have Prieuré Lichine? So they're like, okay. And also, University of Chicago. I can write anything. I can talk about anything. Yeah. And also, if I learn something, I'm going to learn it.
Yeah. No, that's how.
So I just modeled myself off of my manager at Tucci Milan.
Tell people how much fun it is to buy wine with other people's money.
There's nothing better. I mean, you come with your own theme music. It's like down, 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 down.
Right. You got, so I was thinking about what was the Wayans Brothers movie in the '80s where Jack of Spades, where he had, every hero has a theme song. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, there is going to be a lot of influencers with 20,000 followers who are mad at you now.
But
she wasn't even a sub. I got my WSET 3.
But this was in 1998.
Right.
This was before.
I know.
This was before the internet.
I was still in New York then, so I mean there was like 3 Somms in New York City.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And I didn't meet one until I worked at Jean-Georges.
So how'd you get over to Jean-Georges?
He was one of the regulars.
Okay.
At Indochine.
Okay.
And I waited on him.
He poached you.
He did. He poached me. I waited on him at his birthday party. And he's just like, meet my brother Philippe. I met his brother, and he's like, you should come up, interview. And I didn't know what Jean-Georges was.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there, Columbus Circle, that dining room, the marble floor, the menu. And so I got the job, but the training. So I had a notebook this big with the training, the silverware. It was like Pretty Woman where she's sitting there with the silverware. I was like, ooh, maybe I should be a prostitute because look at all this silverware. Actually, I'm a prostitute because I'm a waiter and a dancer, so I'm a prostitute. The oyster spoons, like the salt and pepper shakers that were so beautiful that you had to take them off the table before the dessert came, before you dropped the menu, because so many of them were getting stolen.
Because the customers were stealing.
And so if you yourself did not take them off and they were not on the table, you just put them on the check.
Oh, wow.
And then they would get the check, and then
they would
you'd come to
reappear.
pick up the card, and the salt and pepper would be back on the table. Or the salt and pepper would still be stolen because they bought it. That was like one of the rules, but like fine dining is a dream. It's amazing. I loved everything about it. I loved the courses. I loved carving things at table. I loved carving the duck. I even loved filleting a whole fish. The serving of wine from a Garridon where you taste everything first, because, and it doesn't even have to be corked. It cannot be off, and if it's flat or dull, it does not get served. And as a front waiter, that is your responsibility, which is a lot of responsibility, because then there's a captain who's doing the big captain stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot of responsibility, and also they were way ahead of their time. There were 4 women and 2 women captains, and they're like, Marquita, you could be a captain. But it was impossible. I was still dancing, and that's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. So I had to decide. And so I quit I left because I was still dancing. And also, if you wanted to switch schedules, you're just like, oh, wait, can you switch Tuesday for me? I've auditioned for Mark Morris. They're like, no. I was like, but you had the date. Wait, I don't get it.
So when did you, I know you received your Vinification and Viticulture certificate, and your Somm pin in 2004. When did you, so 2002, I think, is when you kind of retired from dancing?
Yes.
Okay. So why the choice to go hard on wine?
Because wine is my second dancing.
Okay. Oh.
It is the absolute same. It's the same practice. And also because Kurt Eckert, who was my mentor and also the wine director at Jean-Georges, he's just like, you know what? When you stop dancing, you should have my job. And so when I quit, I was just like, I'm going to try to be Kurt. So because there was something kind of when a table came in to have one of the Thomas Jefferson Bordeaux bottles that cost like $12,000. And he had the asso, he had all the tools to open it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to drink some of that. No, they drank the sediment. There's nothing in that bottle. It was like there had never been any. They were just like, there was nothing in that bottle. But I was just like, and also I was like, I want to wear a bomb-ass suit and walk around and sell bomb-ass bottles. Be like, oh, you want the 2007 Chateau Talbot? Shlablam! And it was just, I loved everything about it.
You know what I love about your approach though? Like, you're just straight up. People don't get it's selling wine at the end of the day, people, right? At the end of the day, there's all that knowledge, there's all the tricks, blind tasting, but it's your fucking personality. And for you, I can see the performance you must have put on, right? Like it is mesmerizing people. You know, it is enhancing their experience, and I can geek out, but most experience is not enhanced by wine geekery. You know, it's you know it's
I mean, one of my I have two very fun descriptions, and actually, it was something that Jeff Harding started. He's just like, describe a wine without using any wine words. One of them has a wine word in it, which is, I was just like, okay, I would like to talk about Right Bank. I would like to talk about Saint-Emilion. And I'm going to go straight to the scene in Coming to America, where they're in the barbershop. Oh, is this velvet? That's the way Saint-Emilion is. It's like velvet. It's like a velvet painting of Jesus next to Martin Luther King, next to JFK, next to Usher.
I've been to that house.
Delicious it is.
My aunt passed away before Usher was a big thing, but I know that lineup. And then your uncle has the suede psychedelic. When you turn the lights out, zodiac signs, the nasty fucking zodiac sign poster. Remember?
And then also
the 12 positions of the zodiac.
There's the somewhat covered up Ohio Players album.
Right. And the honey porn. Yeah.
I didn't even know how cool my dad was, but he had Prince's first album, and we weren't allowed to see it. He was naked on that white horse with the roller set, and we weren't allowed to see these like fantastic because they were so racy. But my dad had like a great record collection.
God, this is too much fun.
But my favorite wine description, and I used to say this at tables all the time, they were just like, and I was just like, well, let me tell you the difference between these two Rieslings. I was like, this one is a little bit off dry. It's a fine herb, so it's got a little bit of residual sugar. This is like when you're standing at the local 6 on Bleecker and you see the 4-5 go by. The 4-5 is Peter Lauer, and you are Hirtzberger on the platform. I was like, because that acidity is racy. You're going to be at Grand Central Station in 4 minutes, as opposed to stopping at 23rd Street, stopping at 33rd Street, and then stopping, and it's going to take 20 minutes. Those are the different acidity levels. It's so much fun.
Oh my God, I love it.
I was like, we can do dragons. We can do which Anna Green Gables book because there were 17.
So let me
this dragon. This wine is like Viserion when he became an ice dragon. Chateau Clemens, Sauterne, 2012.
Oh my God. So, I love it, and I love how you said you're just going to become your boss, right? So, you get your cert. I read an interview that, despite wearing your uniform and your pen, you're not always recognized as the somm or the expert on the floor, and that they might go to your white busser or runner before they approach you. And I know Madeline Maldonado, she mentioned that, and I mean, even like, see, I don't give a fuck. I'm that type of person, but like I'll be in a store and they'll but know the most about wine, and they'll go to and I'll be like, no, go talk to him. But what's that like? I mean, how have you dealt with that? Like, how'd you deal with that? Like you said, like you're the one in charge, right? Like, you know more, and I'm gonna set you up. I'm throwing you up an alley oop here because like you're at like one of the best fucking restaurants in the world. They put you in charge, and then people are not like recognizing your brilliance. I mean, your shine. Like, what's that like?
Well, then I'm gonna have to go straight Mage Ursula Le Guin on them, and well, it's easy because I go to my Hot 20.
Okay.
Also, you have to be able to speak their language. You have to. I call it Napa Flex because it's a question I get a lot because You know, the bros always want to talk about Phelps insignia. Okay, please. You never had no Phelps insignia. Okay?
It's good though.
Or Schaefer Trailside. You had to
Right.
be able to speak the big boy language.
It is the flex, because I do that like in retail. People are like, oh, I'm looking for Pinot Noir. I'm like, well, what do you like? And they go, oh, you know, those things. I'm like, well, you know, I like Marquison, and I like this. And you flex on them. And then they go, oh, he does know about wine. You know what I mean? I totally get that. Like, you have to flex.
And my flex is Spotswood 1994.
Spotswood, good juice.
It's like
94 too. You know what's so great about California? Every vintage was a very
3 vintages of it.
Wow, yeah. And that's, I talk about this. I don't know if I don't know where I'm talking about this with wine, because I talk about wine so much, but even with all the cult stuff, we forget, like, the Spotwoods, like the OGs still have the contracts. They still have the top
Diamond
fruit.
Creek?
Diamond
Con Valley?
Creek.
Let's talk.
I know.
Let's talk, people.
Come
to my house.
Spotswood,
it's cute.
Burgess.
Yeah.
You know.
So you have to, it's authority. It's basically every Somm, just go read Prince, read the Prince, read Machiavelli, and figure out if you want to be loved and feared, and figured out how to be loved and feared at the same time.
And then I'll give you the not University of Chicago book to read. Go read the Robert Greene books about the 48 Laws of Power. And he's got one, The Art of Seduction. And like, you don't want to, I don't want to believe the world's that way. But if you really take the helicopter view, like, shit, it is a struggle. You know, and like people are archetypes, and you said it, like, some people like I'm gonna be me, which I get, but for me is flexible depending on where I want to accomplish, right? So like, I have set the goal, right? So it, you know, to me it's akin, like, you have to be able to communicate, and the biggest mistake is thinking that communication existed because you say something over and over. But like you said, you found a way to speak. These are the Wall Street dudes. They want the big bombs, and I mean, you're gonna do this and that, you know. So nothing, and that's.
And it's basically like, you're just a cheerleader, right, who has a very strong squad. You have squad. You just like, you can do your drum line section. It's like, we're about to do the drum line, and once my snares get all up into your DMs, you're gonna be drinking. You're gonna be drinking all of this Cornas that I got lined up right in cheer. But the wine is your authority, and if you can talk about wine with authority, that's basic. That kind of stops the conversation and starts the revolution. So if you are a person of color or a woman and you want power, jump into some books, jump into the Peter Lim Champagne book, get Raj Par's the Sommelier Atlas, and you start to talk about wine differently after you read books like that. And actually, after I started reading Peter Lim's Champagne book, and just a couple details, I was like, the Gimne Pierre Fils is like this. Oh, the L'Armandier Bernier. They have some of the best Grand Crus, plus their Vertu, so on. So it's some of the most beautiful Côte de Blanc, blah, 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 blah. You just have all of your, it's like seduction. And basically, it's like, it's basically what my mother told me, because I argue with my father. He's a Virgo. That's what happens, you know, and he's also Panamanian. His opinion, and he loves to argue. And just crying, so many arguments, and my mom was just like, if he thinks it is his idea, you will get your way.
So that's Inception, actually.
Exactly. So I was just like, okay. So if they think it's their idea, and I was just like, well, you talk about what information that you, and I was like, well, you just told me that you like this producer or that, so I know you're going to love this because they have very similar styles. And so they're just like,
because they're cousins.
Oh.
Them dudes is
Exactly.
cousins. And that's often true. And I tell people, I'm like, and that's, retail. I worked at a bistro in Santa Barbara, but retail is very interesting because like people like, I'm like, that vineyard's right next door to this vineyard. You know what I mean? Like so, but most people don't even know enough about. They just say like, oh, they have this romantic notion in their head, and I'm just like, but do you know if you know winemakers, if you know appellations, like I'm like, if you like this about that wine, this has the same thing. You know what I mean? Like this will suit your palate. So I agree with you. Everything you're saying, it's authority. It is some good knowledge. I'm old school. Wine for Dummies and Jancis Robinson's Guide to Wine Grapes. And that one really helped me because, like, I know every fucking grape, right? So, like, every obscure grape, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I always try and try it once, know? Did I read somewhere or did I hear it on the internet? If it's on the internet, it must be true. You're going to pursue Master of Wine?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good story.
There haven't been any bad stories.
But this one is a really, really good story. So last year was devastating. A 22 career completely shut down and stopped. My whole life just disintegrated, and there was no, when is it going to come back? And when Chef's Club started selling their inventory, and then I found out that they were never going to open back up, it was just devastating. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And Julia Coney is one of my mentors for wine writing, and I was trying to get my blog going. I was working my one shift at Red Hook Winery, and so I got a friend request from Lisa Granick on MW on Facebook, and I texted Zwan because Zwan is big into and I actually texted my girls, my wine putas of Crown Heights, Mara, Zwan, and Kilolo. Hi, girls. And I was just like, is there something going on? Is there a tasting? And they're like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, Lisa Granick sent me. I was just like, is there like a Georgian tasting that I don't know? Is there like is there a Zoom? And so I studied for an entire day to get ready because I accepted her friend request, and then she sent me a message. She's like, oh, you should call me. And I thought it was about like a tasting panel or something. And I was like, okay, Saparavi, okay, the other thing that I don't know how to pronounce, all of the oranges, very cool. And so she's like, well, I got my Master of Wine. I'm working with WSET, and we're doing these panels. Would you like to be on? And I was like, I would love it. And she's like, have you ever considered the Master of Wine program? And I'm like, well,
I gotta tell you, it's perfect for a University of Chicago gal like
and
you.
She started talking about it, and she had me at theory. I was just like,
things you don't hear every day
I have to write
on a wine
huge,
podcast.
Big paper about dirt, or just I can talk about malolactic fermentation for hours and hours. And so I was just like, okay, and it just kind of. It was like dancing. So, and it encompasses all of the things that I want to do in wine, which is write and which is teach. Yes, and I'm totally afraid of those 3 days of tasting. But I was at TechSom a couple weeks ago, and Susan Lin was there, and she was describing how she was doing a research paper on classical music and wine. And so I'm probably going to write my paper on dance and wine. But I haven't been in school for 15 years. So I have to go back from the beginning. So I actually have to do the WSET program in order to start the diploma program. And so I have to either take a test to be into level 3. Okay, if I don't pass the test to get into level 2, after all these years, taking a pop quizzes on Chablis, I got a problem. But so I'm like, okay. So I was talking to another woman who is also in the MW Road, Erin Brooks, actually, who I know from Instagram. And she's just like, well, I'm going to send you my Certified Specialist of Wine book because that is actually, if you take that class, it will get you into the diploma program. But also, it is a requirement if you want to be a certified wine educator. And I do want to be an educator. So I'm going to start, I already have the book and I'm homeschooling myself in wine. Also, I have insomnia, so I'm homeschooling. But I'm going to actually take the online course probably in August. And then hopefully I'll start the diploma program next year.
Wow. You got so much going on. So many things going on. Let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about Red Hook Winery. You guys, as someone who's from the East Coast, to say winery after Red Hook is really still kind of foreign to me. But tell me about your work at Red Hook Winery.
We are an urban winery that basically
and
represents...
by urban, you mean just you're attached to New York City.
We are on Pier 41 making beautiful, delicious wines because we are sourcing... We're basically a negociant. We source 90% of our grapes from the North Fork, 10% from the Finger Lakes. We have 3 winemakers. Christopher Nicholson is our resident winemaker. He's there doing the day-to-day work. And then we also have Abe Schoner of Scolian Project, and we have Bob Foley of Robert Foley Vineyards.
The king of Cassis.
And the king of Cabernet Sauvignon. So we have, and for me, and when we used to do tours, I used to say, you know, as a retired dancer, this feels like me, like the grapes of New York State are the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, and then there are 3 very talented choreographers who get to use this exciting, charismatic material to produce whatever piece that they want. So we often do, like in our tastings, a comparison, James Port Vineyard, Chardonnay, 2015, one from Abe Schoner, one from Robert Foley, and you see what happens when you work with wild yeast, when you ferment open-top fermentation, or you ferment with certain types of yeast, with champagne yeast. Do you decide to do batonnage? Do you decide to use new oak? What kind of temperature controls are you using? We're also on the pier, so it is naturally humid and cool and awesome. So the aging room is there. And you see I didn't even know that there was a difference between a Burgundy barrel and a Bordeaux barrel until I started working there, because I was lining up barrels and they were like this, and there's the short squat ones, which are Burgundy barrels, and then the tall narrow ones are Bordeaux barrels.
I'm like, I knew that shit.
20 years. And I'm just like, how am I just finding this out in 2017?
Don't you? But that's what I love about wine. You can learn something new you can learn something new no matter how much you know, right? Well, yeah, I'm a Foley fan. I like Abe's just abstractness, you know. But definitely, when it comes to just flavor, he's the man. What would you want people to know about wines that are coming out in New York now? Because, like, you know, what would you say about that?
First, a shout out to Midia Gonzalez on Long Island. They took over Martha Clara. So RGNY. So I tasted her Pinot Noir that she's making. First Pinot Noir from the North Fork that is a pen pal to Chamboul Moussigny. It is beautiful.
Because, you know, I lived out there. I mean, like, it's. I tell people
Pinot Noir does not like the North Fork.
Well, no, and a lot of grapes didn't like the North Fork, but as the vines have gotten older, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the issues with burgeoning wine countries is like, you could have some decades of mediocre wine, and I tell you, it's always cool to go visit a winery and, and it's beautiful out there, but it's good to know that the vines are maturing and you're now starting getting some wines of, I mean, Sean Capio used to make some wine out there, but like when I heard about the Project Red Hook, I was like, fucking Foley and Scolium. I'm like, damn, that's and Scolium. I was like, that's, and I love how the juxtaposition of the two styles, right? Like
exactly.
But wow, you heard it here from a future master of wine. There is a nod to Chambol Musigny out on the North Fork.
There is. There's also Machino Love Up with all those beautiful Cabernet Francs. They have Tirol-de-Go planted out. Jamesport Vineyards, their Tirol-de-Go is cute.
So
they have Gold Muscatella.
I'm a Cal Italian fan. I'm gonna become a New York Italian fan.
Tirol-de-Go.
Say it one more time.
It's like Tirol-de-Go.
It's like Beetlejuice.
It's like
Tirol-de-Go, Tirol-de-Go.
Where out thou Tirol-de-Go? I mean, you could do a whole Shakespearean thing with it. They're doing Macari Vineyards, My Heart, their Cabernet Franc Petinat, Pominox, Petit Verdot Petinat. Oh, hi. The Chenin Blancs that they're making, the Albedino from Palmer, there's some cute stuff. And then
we're gonna have to take a road
I haven't
trip.
even talked about the Finger Lakes because, yes.
We need to do a road trip. Get all black wine up in this piece on Long Island.
And I think you will be blown away.
Probably, because I haven't spent any time. I lived in Sag Harbor.
Bedell, they're 100% Malbec.
Stop.
Who you calling a Cahors? That's one of my favorite mispronunciations. I would have my friends come into the wine bar at Aldila, and I was just like, ask me for it. Can I have a glass of Cahors? And I'd be like, who you calling a Cahors? Oh my gosh, it's so funny. They're just like, it's not funny. I'm like, it's so funny. They're like, it's not funny. I'm like, it's funny.
I think it's funny, but, I've been accused of not being funny, so... and we got,
It's about to get Ambogabita. Yes. That's another one of my favorite words.
I love it. Yeah, we do have to do a road trip. I'm not bullshitting on that. Tell me about Volcanic.
So that was another fantastic call last summer.
Right, because pandemic, right? Ah.
And I actually, and this is a very good story. It's like a movie. I was actually having dinner with Jeff Harding at Fort Defiance. He had come out to see me from Harlem at the winery, and then we went to Fort Defiance for dinner. We had a bottle of Littorai. I had an empty bag from blind tasting. We do blind tasting on Sundays. And so I called the Lyft, and I was like, $36? And so I called the shared Lyft, and they're like 2 minutes away. And I was like, ooh, $14, so exciting. So I have my earphones in. I'm already listening to Crystal Waters. I'm ready, and I'm also drunk. And because that's what happens when you have Braulio. So I get in the car, and I'm like, and I say hello. So I say hi to the, very good-looking gentleman next to me. And I was like, oh, he's cute. And so and he's like, hello. And he's like, are you in wine? And I take them out. And I was like, yeah, I work at Red Hook Winery. And he's like, oh, yeah, I work in wine too. That's all he said. He didn't go into, I'm one of the original Avengers. And he's like, oh, my name is Jeff. And I was like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. There's something familiar, but, it was like maybe 18 years.
Wait, I've been drinking. Hold on. So you fucking get a shared Uber and it's...
This was a year...
I was like, because I'm like, is that... I want to... Okay.
This was a year before last summer.
But still, how does that happen?
And no, this is like the best story ever because he's like, oh, my name is Jeff, and he's like, you know what? I'm doing this event tomorrow. You should come. He's like, it's at Cork Buzz. It's for my show called Sip Trip Italy. And I was like, are you Jeff Porter? He's like, yes. And I was just like, I was at your French Quarter masterclass that you had at Del Posto. In 2008. Oh, no, it was in 2012. And I was like, I had the day off that day, too. I still spit. And so he's like, I'll put you on the list. And I was like, so I show up at Cork Buzz. Pascaline is in front of me. And I was like, Yannick was there. Maria Roost was there. It was like all Jackie Summers, like heavy hitters. Aldo was there. Like all it was like the cool kids club of wine folks. Yeah. I was like, what the actual? And so they showed like the first episode, and it was so awesome. And so that's how I met him. And so I was following him on Instagram, and over the summer he did a live chat with Primichick. And you know how you can ask questions? Mm-hmm. And, you know, people were just like, oh, that looks delicious. And I was just like, how long was the skin contact? Did he ferment in cement? What was happening? How old are the vines? And I was like, did he let it cold settle? And so he sent me an email, and he was just like, I am starting this company. It's called Volcanic Selections, and, you know, would you like to work from home? And I was just like, sure. I'll work from home in a pandemic as a sales rep for a wine company. Of course. It's brutal.
Oh, my God. Were you born with a horseshoe up your ass? Like, who gets a fucking wine sales job during the pandemic?
I was like, nothing's harder than being a modern dancer. This is harder than being a modern dancer. I was like, ain't nothing harder than a Lester Horn technique class. This is harder. Actually, blind tasting is, Jesus, fix it. It's harder than all modern dance.
Yeah, I think my wine education, my formal wine education is over because...
It's never over.
No, but my formal. I said my formal. I'm not trying to do that blind tasting.
No,
shit.
you get. Well, actually, it's just practice.
I know.
It's like practicing the piano.
I respect people. Maybe I don't want to play the piano.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Hey, listen. I live in the two-step. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not like you. You know, I don't need to do some Bobby Brown twist and spin shit. I'm gonna stay right here, right in my lane. Mm-hmm. You know.
You don't want to be a backup dancer for like J.D. Vira or something?
No.
Sure you do. Final conclusion.
No. So listen, before we go, I got to ask this question.
Yes.
This is a serious question because I read it in your Bible. All right, so I have this ritual. I just have to say why I said Bible. I have this ritual. And New Jersey Transit fucked it up. So I get here in time because I do intermittent fasting, and I have a fucking Chick-fil-A sandwich so I don't get beat up by the wine, and I'm not even drinking fast. What's in this Chianti? But I read this in your bio, and, you know, I know you're a WSET and you got a Master Wine, but this is some serious shit. I read that you're a level 5 wood elf monk in Dungeons and Dragons?
I am. I'm playing tonight.
How?
I killed a bear. I took a lot of damage points last week. Not last week. I didn't play last week. The week before that, I took a lot of damage points. I was unconscious. I was blind for a while. It was terrible. But I killed a bear, and we killed a dragon as well.
Do you ever bring any
Thunderwave,
Margot or Priya Lucine to that, or any Sancerre? Is it just all fucking mead and honey wine?
Well, you're hilarious. Jim Clark is the dungeon master, and James Tidwell is on my team. So it's actually, there's a page on Facebook called Psalms and Sorcerers, and it's a whole Dungeons and Dragons crew. So I developed my character. I
was going to say something, but I would never get another Psalm on here as a guest, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but go ahead.
You're going to have to tell me later. But it's just, I loved the game in high school. I never got to play it in high school, so I get to play it now. And it's just so much. And, you know, I drink a lot of J.J. Prum Riesling. I drink a lot of the oranges. Tonight, I'm going to be drinking a Lahe Viognier from Oregon. All of the pink juices, Forlorn Hope Everything, Joe Swick Everything.
Oh, you're one of those kids.
Piparello, when my coins is cute. All of the Coast Everything. Nastarek, Col Veteraz, Prosecco is... I need a Prosecco vending machine in my kitchen with magnums in it, like in that Sip Trip Italy episode. Like when I design my dream kitchen, it's going to have a Prosecco vending machine. People are like, what does that oven do? And I was like, it produces magnums of Prosecco. Bakes in 20 minutes.
All right. So
Can you tell I'm crazy?
Yeah, I love it though. This is perfect. You're perfect with the podcast. You're my kind of people. We're gonna take a road trip. If you had to pick the bottle that really, and we talked in the beginning, but like, what set it off?
The bottle that set it off.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think even more so than the Masi Amarone, I think Marquez y Murrieta Ige Rioja. 1989.
Fucking Spanish wine, man.
Rioja
still
all day.
Still
Rioja Tussin.
Still Rioja Tussin. Rioja Scissor.
Mm-hmm. Right up there with Cava Tussin and Prosecco Tussin is my medicines of choice.
Oh my God, Marquita.
You know when you read the pill, the pill bottle, and they're just like, this is a narcotic. Do not operate machinery.
I'm like, give me a glass of wine. Are you gonna have to
and I'm just like,
exactly. What do you? Of course. Or take with alcohol. Give me a bottle. Go to sleep well. Daddy's gonna sleep well tonight.
I was like, this is what they used to drink because water could kill you. Because water was dangerous.
Exactly.
And it could poison you.
And it's mostly water.
It's 90% water.
Exactly.
10% love.
There's no alcohol in this.
But it's interesting because in my life, and the question was so often brought up last year because, you know, diversity and inclusion is now, how do we do it? How do we do it for real? How do we not tokenize it and do it for real?
That is the question.
And it's like, put us in positions of power where our voice is heard. And it's not so much because at this point I am just exhausted. If I literally do not want to answer the question, what is it like to be a Black Som? Because it's just like being a Som. Except I have to have anti-frizz hair care product. I have to have this fragrance-free Shea Moisture in my bag for these cellars that got all this humidity in it. But it's the same. I love Guy Bertot. I love Chenin Blanc. I love Negronis because shift drink. I love maps. I love being a part of people's celebrations of life where you are part of their weddings, their dates, their marriages, their anniversaries. Working at Colicchio Sons, I had a table. They were celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary. They were from Kansas, and they were very suspect when I came to the table. They were not very happy. They had had martinis, had had glasses of champagne, and then the wine list. And they had already ordered. Husband was having steak, and the wife piped up. She's like, Riesling, and his face just fell. Happy wife, happy life. And so I asked her, I was just like, you know, what do you love about Riesling? And she was like, the sweetness, the fruit, and this and that. And he was just resigned. And I was just like, I'm about to Can I use this language? I was like,
Please.
I'm about to fuck him up. He's about to get the Spätlese knocked out of him. So,
I'm gonna kick you in your Auslese.
Yes. So, Peter Lauer, Senior X. And so I poured it for her because she ordered it, and she loved it because it's Peter Lauer. And he tasted it, and I saw the angels come down. I could hear the music. I could hear the opening music of All I Do Is Think About You by Stevie Wonder, and his face because Riesling came and got him. And I also brought him a glass of Cabernet from the bar because it's their anniversary. But to see people when wine transforms their life is the most power. It is the most Black Lives Matter thing in my life, is to see the transformation of people through wine. You want to talk about Black power? I can raise a fist in the dining room. I'll just be over here like this, accepting my gold medal for wine pimps.
We're going to stop right there. We're going to finish right there. Oh, my God. Marquita, we could just clown for hours. I have a new wine friend. Oh, my God, it's going to be so much fun.
I'm going to have to just buy a lot of Pedialyte and saltines because I think it's going to be all the bottles you be no way. I'm like, oh, he's drinking that. I was like, he's drinking that. Oh, he's drinking that.
No, that's the people I hang with. But anyway, definitely, please, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your just a delight.
It was such a pleasure.
Tell people where they can find you, how they can be a part of what you're doing. Give them your Instagram handle and all your volcanic. Where can they get more Marquita?
Marquita_grape lover. I am currently doing actually a partnership with Tillamook right now. I'm about to drop some pairings tomorrow for them. I'm going to talk with Chef Josh Archibald tonight, and then I'm going to play Dungeons & Dragons with my crew at 8 o'clock.
Drinking what again?
The Elahe 2019 Viognier.
Very nice. Oh, my God. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, tuning in. Until the next time, here's to the Mavericks, philosophers, deep thinkers, dancers, and wine drinkers. It's your boy MJ. Peace.